Yo, it's Ben Memo back with Media. Now, I want y'all to follow me and follow what I say. Melanin, well, do your own research, of course. But melanin is what you call oxidation of copper or the oxidation of carbon. Now, before I even go there, everything has melanin, right? So all people, every animal got melanin, what we call outer melanin, and then neuromelanin. I'm going to get to that. So you have to realize that when we call ourselves these non-ether beings, or we call ourselves these melanated beings, right? We're the personification of this non-ether in human form, because as above, so below. So what I'm saying is, for you to understand or understand yourself, you have to be able to know that you predate these elements, but you have to know what these elements, how these elements come together to create what you call the man. And even without you even knowing that, you need to at least know that the eighth element, oxygen, is the element for what we call our spark of life or our breath. So what I'm saying is, the only way that fire or plasmatic energy can be produced is through these 9 cycles of hydrogen and 8 other elements coming together. And what are these 8 other elements? We're talking about from hydrogen, helium, down all throughout till you get to oxygen. You have these 8 elements that will come together trillions by trillions and condense into a single point because of what we call magnetic laws of attraction of a like to a like and an unlike to an unlike. So what you're saying is that you have these many different solar systems or many different atoms of, based off of, they call it their electron shell, that come together to create what we call these other particles, so you can have these coronal mass ejections or whatever, and have all these different energetic waves that are, or electrical waves that are sent out to have another sun or another molecule or another anything created. You feel what I'm saying? So basically, the best way for you to understand what I'm saying is that what is melanin exactly? We're talking about hydrocarbon atoms or hydrocarbon molecules. Hydro, as in, like hydrogen, and then carbon, which is talking about us, carbon. So these are etherical particles of energy, right? So the ether energy is talking about hydrocarbon particles. So carbon can bond with most elements having 4 subshells. Without getting too deep, that if you're talking about, let me just show you. So basically, when you're talking about the valence electrons, or you're talking about the subshells, it's just talking about the shells that surround the atom, or the circles. Or you're talking about, so each one of these, well, they call them periods because they're periods of energy. Or you're talking about little particles that are only created when the energy has cycles again in a smaller cycle. So basically, you would have these, carbon can only have 4 subshells, meaning you have 4 of these little dots or these particles on the outermost shell, and it'll have 2 on the inside. Reason is because the inner shell can only hold 2, because from hydrogen to helium everything was created down here, so the inside can only hold 2. Then the next one can hold up to 8, because you remember that 8 has to deal with octaves. So we're talking about octaves. We're talking about how it's always from hydrogen, everything unravels from hydrogen and goes from hydrogen to helium, creates the sun. Then from the sun, everything will unravel to create or learn to what we call do this non-cycle of these particles to create what you call the next suns by sending out these electrical waves once the non-ether egg has already birthed that sun. Or you're talking about being able to create plasma energy. So that being said, that is happening on both as above, so below. So when you're talking about the process of melanin, it is done by oxygen coming in. So once this oxygen comes in and hydrogen bonds with oxygen, you create water, or H2O, right? And y'all, before I continue on, ultimately this is the confusion with that part, is with people, they don't understand that when we're talking about volume or mass or density, when we're talking about a sun or any type of object, we're talking about in its radius. So like the earth has its own mass and density and magnetic bonds that will keep people tied to the earth, so to speak, or we're talking about these electromagnetic energies. So that produces this gravity, so to speak, or you're talking about what you call gravity is only a process of the pressure that is caused by this electrical pressure spiraling down at the center. So what I'm getting at is that every element is not necessarily just exploding like from a dense ball, but more so the energy unraveling itself, so to speak. If that makes sense. Or unspiraling itself. So that being said, with the eighth element being oxygen, and I told you how this oxidation of copper, this oxidation of what we call melanin is actually not melanin, oxidation of carbon is what's producing these lower colors, because we were once green and blue, and now we rust because of the oxidation turns us from what we call more magnesium or more chlorophyll or more plant-based to becoming more meat-based, so this red energy, or we're talking about how we more rusted out, and this becomes more of a copper tone, right? So this is a process of how this melanin is formed, right? So this melanin is produced by the melanocytes in the skin, right? We're talking about the melanin or the melanocytes that sit down in the skin, these cells. And ultimately, what's happening is, and just for y'all to understand, that the next thing that is produced is what you call tyrosine. And tyrosine, if you look up what tyrosine does and what it's the part of your that's in the cell that actually helps produce the color of that being. So you're talking about, so how on the inside is the color produced is by what we call neuromelanin, right? So I pretty much showed y'all neuromelanin earlier. I'll show y'all another picture. But neuromelanin is a dark brown pigment found in the brain that protects neurons from toxic byproducts. Now remember, this neuromelanin is also what is this when we talk about this carbon, that this higher form of carbon that sits in the brain or certain parts of the brain that is actually helping you fight off diseases, actually helping you with your neurotransmitters. This dark pigment on the neurotransmitters actually helps transfer information, because it's almost like a representation or a manifestation of etheric energy being in down in the physical form. So that's what's happening with that, right? So the next time somebody wants to know the key to life, right? I don't know why my shit keeps doing that, bro. So hydrogen is what brings everything to life in the universe, right? But oxygen is what brings everything to life down here. And you got to remember, so oxygen will always be the key to you understanding the breath of life, or what we call spirit. And why do I tell y'all need to know this? Because we are beings that come from beyond even the non-ether, but what we are trying to get you to understand is the power that is held within this darkness that is actually this light that we call the etheric space. So or these gases and things like that used to be light before it was decay was produced. Now this video ain't for everybody. Like I said, this video is only gonna be for the ones who like to get on that deep talk a little bit. If you ain't really about that deep talk, then don't watch this video. But if you like this type of stuff, then we'll keep talking about it, right? Because obviously you need to be able to understand and know yourself. You need to be able to understand and know why we are black people, and what does that really mean? Why is it that the white man is jealous of you, and he's not jealous of you because you're black? He's jealous of you because of the DNA and the fact of the melanin of us being beings that came before them.